Before we get started, let's go to the Lord in prayer. Lord, I pray that you'll wash me in your precious blood. I pray that you'll guard my lips. Help me to say what it is that you would have me to say. Help me not to say anything that I shouldn't. I pray that you'll be with the teaching of the Word tonight. I pray that you'll give us wisdom and understanding of your Word. I pray that we'll have a desire to learn more about your Word and study it more and apply it more to our hearts. And that we'll take it seriously. And I pray that you'll take and show us things out of your Word that, like only you can. And in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Now, Daniel chapter 7 is where the book of Daniel takes and goes more into prophetical than so much the stories and the historical side of it. Not that the historical side doesn't have plenty of prophecy and typology in it. It does. But it takes and we start going into more of the visions of Daniel from Daniel chapter 7 through Daniel chapter 12. Now, I gotta get there first of all. Now, to teach Daniel chapter 7, what I want to do is I'm going to break this thing up in about 3 divisions. And we'll probably take 3 lessons on this. First lesson, I want to take and touch on the first 3 beasts. And then the second lesson, we'll take and talk about the 10 horns of the 4th beast. And then the third lesson, we'll talk about the Antichrist. And we'll mix the rest of it in there with it. And the Antichrist being the little horn that arises out of the 4th beast. Okay? So those are the 3 areas, the 3 sections I'm going to teach it on. Now, before we get started with Daniel, chapter 7, the best way to handle this is you're going to want to get the context of the whole chapter. Because you don't want to take and dive right into the first 7 verses without reading the whole chapter, because the latter part of the chapter clarifies the first part of the chapter. So let's read through the chapter, and I'm going to point out some things about these first 3 beasts that I want you to keep in mind. And everything that we try to figure out about the first 3 beasts is going to have to fall in line with what the chapter says about them. And the reason you want to do that is when I was studying Daniel chapter 7, I was picking up all these commentaries and reading them of what the 3 beasts are. And I got so disgusted with them, I threw them all aside. And the reason being is they all said the same thing, and they're all absolutely wrong because they jump out of the context of the chapter. And I want to show you why they do that. Daniel chapter 7, verse 1. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon. So the time that Daniel is seeing this vision is the first year of the king Belshazzar before the Medes and Persians take over. Okay? Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and a vision of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matter. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the 4 winds of the heavens strove upon the great sea. 4 winds of the heavens is a reference to north, south, east, and west, just the 4 corners of the earth. Okay? The great sea would be a reference in the Bible to the Mediterranean Sea. All right? And 4 great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. So these 4 beasts are not the same, they're different from each other. The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. And behold, another beast, a second like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it, and they said thus unto it, Arise, devour much flesh. After this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. All right, so those are the first 3 beasts that we're going to try and figure some things out about tonight. Now let's keep reading. After this I saw in the night vision, behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces and stamped the residue with the feet of it, and it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. Alright, now that beast is pretty easy to identify if you've studied Revelation and you were paying attention on Daniel chapter 2. You know that the Antichrist's kingdom is going to come out of a 10 federated kingdom. Alright? So this is going to be talking about the kingdom that the Antichrist comes out of. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of man, and a mouth speaking great things. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and wheels as a burning fire. A fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. Thousands of thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set, and the books were opened. Now 9 and 10 will obviously be a match meet with Revelation chapter 20 and the great white throne judgment. Okay. I beheld then, because of the voice of the great words which the horn spake, I beheld even till the beast was slain, and his body destroyed, and given to the burning flame. As concerning the rest of the beast, now here's one of the things I want you to write down. As concerning the rest of the beast, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives was prolonged for a season and a time. Alright? So, these first 3 beasts, their dominion's taken away. In other words, their reigning is taken away, and their life is prolonged. They're not killed. Alright? You want to get that. Now when does that happen? Following the fourth beast's destruction. Look at verse 11. I beheld then, because of the voice of the great words which the horn spake, I beheld even till the beast was slain. The fourth beast is slain. Second advent. And his body destroyed and given to the burning flame. Okay? Then the other 3's lives are prolonged for a time and a season. So what happens? They go out into the millennium for a time and a season. They go past the fourth beast. Their lives prolonged. Okay? Which is going to give you a time element. That means these first 3 beasts are present at the second advent. They're alive and kicking at that time. Well, that right there destroys everything the commentators say in itself. Okay? Verse 13, I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days. And they brought him near before him. There was given to him dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages shall serve him. Now we're studying the book of Matthew. You know that kingdom is the kingdom of heaven. And that is the millennial reign, and that's Jesus Christ showing up. Verse 13 and 14. Serve him, his dominion is the everlasting dominion which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body, and the vision of my head troubled me. I came near unto one of them that stood by, and asked him the truth of all this. So he told me, and made me know the interpretation of the things. These great beasts, which are 4, are, now look at it, 4 kings. So these beasts represent individual kings. What does a king normally have?
A kingdom.
He has a kingdom. But is a king a kingdom? No. He's a king.
Right.
Now you say, why is that so important? If you ever deal with the Seventh-day Adventists, that's important. Because they just can't get that through their head. I argued with the Seventh-day Adventist for 2 hours one night, trying to tell him, it says kings. He was trying to tell me that America was the beast, the fourth beast, and worshiping on Sunday was the mark of the beast. And he spent 2 hours. I kept taking him to a verse. It says they're a king. It's a king. Why are you not seeing that? It's a king. Okay? Now, I'll grant it. If you can spot the kingdom that goes along with the king, maybe you can see some things in the beast that will show you that. But it is a king. Okay? And the great beasts which are four kings, which shall arise out of the earth. So the Mediterranean is where he's seeing the vision, but the kings are throughout the earth. They're just kings that show up in the earth. Okay? But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom. Now that's referring to the kingdom of heaven. Referring to world dominance over the earth. Okay? And that's in the millennium, and that happens at the second advent. Forever, even forever and ever. Then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, and his nails of brass, which devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet. And of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell. Even of that horn that had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellow. I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints, and prevailed against them. That's in the tribulation. Until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High, and the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. That's millennium. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it in pieces. Which indicates that the fourth beast will come up after the first 3 kings, and he will have a worldwide power. And the first 3 kings will be put under submission underneath him. Their dominion is taken away. Remember? Okay? Subdue 3, break in pieces. And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise. And another shall rise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and the dividing of times. But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion, and consume and to destroy it unto the end. And the kingdom and dominion and greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominion shall serve and obey him. Hitherto is the end of the matter. As for me, Daniel, my cogitation much troubled me, and my countenance changed in me, but I kept the matter in my heart. All right. Now, by reading the whole chapter and just pointing out several things, we see that the first 3 kings are different from one another. We see that they are individual kings. Okay? We see that they arise out of the earth in the future. Look at verse 17. Daniel 7:17. It says, and the great beasts which are 4 kings which shall arise out of the earth. So they come in the future. We figure out when that future is because the context of the chapter is the second advent and the coming of the millennial reign. That is the context of the chapter. You got that all through the chapter. It's pretty clear, right? Okay? So we know that. The fourth beast is a kingdom with 10 kings, and one king comes up, which is the Antichrist, the little horn, out of that 10 federated kingdom. The kings of the first 3 kingdoms are not slain at the second advent. They're allowed to go into the millennium for a time and a season. Their life is spared. Okay? The fourth will subdue the 3. And the fourth will be given a dominant world power. Alright? Now you see how I got all those facts. Now I'm going to tell you how those facts disagree with almost every commentator. Every commentator that you read is going to say this. They're going to say this first beast represents Nebuchadnezzar and the Babylonian Empire. Problem. The Babylonian Empire was in dominance at the time Daniel sees it. As a matter of fact, it's fixing to end. It's in the time of Belshazzar's. And these 4 kings shall arise out of the earth. Future. And Nebuchadnezzar was not around during the second advent. I'm sorry. He's gone. He's dead. He's bye-bye. Alright? He's not there. Okay? He's not the king. And neither is the old kingdom of Babylon. Alright? It doesn't work. It just doesn't fit. They all start there, then they say the second beast is Media and Persia, the third beast is Greece and Alexander the Great, and the fourth beast is that. Now I'll grant it. If you want to say them 4 kingdoms are types of these kings and their kingdoms in the second advent in the millennium, I'm fine with that. If you want to teach a typology, but say it's a typology. It's not what the verse is teaching, it's just a typology. Chapter's teaching is just a typology of the chapter. If you want to go that route, okay, I'm fine with it. If you want to go that route, I won't argue with it. And I won't make too much of a fuss about it. But that's not really what the chapter's teaching. The doctrinal context of the chapter is right here at this time period when the Lord comes back and establishes His kingdom on this earth, and the saints reign forever and ever. That's where the context is. So if you want to get what it's really saying, you have to keep it in that context. Now, let's go back to verse 1, and let's go through this chapter verse by verse. Alright, and look at the verses. Now that we have the context of the chapter, let's look at the verses and see how much we can get out of this. And you say, well, do you have it all figured out? No, some of it I'm going to be guessing at. Some of it is an educated guess. Some of it is a wild guess. Okay? And I'll tell you when I'm guessing. There's some things I'm guessing at, there's some things I'm not. Alright, in the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dreams and told the some of the matter. Daniel spake and said, I saw my vision by night, and behold, the 4 winds of the heaven strove upon the great sea, and 4 great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. Now that's just what he's seeing in his vision. Now here's beast number 1. The first was like a lion, and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. Now the description of the beast is what we call a, should have wrote this
Griffin.
Griffin, thank you. A griffin. A griffin is a lion with wings. Okay? It's represented through Europe in this area. Mainly the United Kingdom first represented it. Now it's used by NATO, actually, as a representation. And it's a lion with wings. That's who uses that thing. Now, if you believe like I do that the tribulation's very close and you're at the end times, you are looking for three dominant world powers of today. That's what you're looking for. And then you're looking for the ruler of those dominant world powers to take and spot these beasts. And that griffin is going to come from here, more than likely. Which means he's going to either be the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, he's going to be the ruler of the European nations, or he's going to be a ruler of NATO. One of the three, most likely, is where he's going to be. You say, which one is he? I don't know. Check it out. Take a guess. I don't know. I'll tell you one thing. I'll bet you the people in the tribulation could put their pen on them. I'll bet you in the tribulation, this chapter will become very clear to the people in the tribulation. It'll probably be very clear. To us, who's coming up on it, we can start seeing some things, but it's not real clear. Now, here's some strange things about it. Look at it, this beast in verse 4. It says, and may stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. You say, what does that mean? I'll be honest, I have no idea. I have no idea what that means. It would indicate that he's not a man. Remember how we were studying the 10 toes with Nebuchadnezzar, and we've seen that some of them were not exactly men? You say, well, that's pretty wild. Yeah, it is. That's why I say I don't understand it. I don't understand it. Apparently Daniel doesn't either. Little Daniel. Verse 4. Alright, so your first one, my best guess is he is going to be a ruler of the European countries. Alright? Now the second one, I think I have a little bit more confidence of putting a finger on it. And behold, another beast, a second like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it, and they said thus unto it, arise, devour much flesh. Now there's one country in this world that's associated with a bear, and it is a dominant world power. Matter of fact, it has more nuclear weapons than any other country on this earth. Do you know what country that is? Russia. Russia. Matter of fact, it's referred to as the Russian bear. The country is referred to that as the Russian bear. You say, well, what's the 3 ribs? If the country is Russia, and would be Russia's leader, which at the moment is Putin, all right, whether or not he'll still be the leader during the tribulation, I don't know, but that's who it is. You say, do you think it potentially could be him? Sure. Have you ever studied the man?
Yeah.
Arise, devour much flesh. Now look at it. And it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it, and they said thus unto it, arise, devour much flesh. Now who says arise and devour much flesh? The 3 ribs. In the verse, that's who's saying it, right? Or am I missing something with the periods here? Okay. So what is that? My guess is it's his allies. He's got 3 main allies. Do you realize Russia has 3 main allies right now? Who has the largest armies in the world? Ally number 1 is China. China's army is twice the amount of any other army on this earth. The second ally is India. You say, who's India? What about India? Have you ever studied India? Do you realize that India has the 5th strongest army on this earth? is the fifth strongest army. And the fifth, I think he's one of the top three as far as soldiers.
Population, too.
So India and China, and then the third one's kind of a guess. I said North Korea because he's communist, but North Korea is kind of a wild card. He may or may not be.
Right now, Iran is a big.
Huh?
Right now, Iran, I believe, are.
Is Iran actually an ally?
Mhm.
Well, then Iran's a little bit more likely
Turkey's in there, too.
than North Korea. So you got those three. I'd put those three as the rib. What does a rib do? A rib supports the interior of the body. Now, why it's in the mouth, I don't know. Now, if they told them, arise and devour much flesh, do you realize what Russia wants to do without saying it? They want to take Pakistan, they want to take Ukraine, they want to take all these countries that used to be part of the Soviet Union and put them back into the Soviet Union. Arise, devour much flesh. And they get the backing, Russia gets the backing, he'll do it. He'll do exactly that. He wants to return it to its former Soviet Empire and the majesty of the former Soviet Empire. Putin does. So I think Putin would be a very good guess on that second beast. Now there's a chance that we're not as close to the rapture as we think we are, and it could go on out into history, and it could be another character. But I would put that second beast as Putin. All right? Now you say, is that a guess? It's a guess. I don't know if anybody could know for sure. But it's a guess, and that's the reason for the guess. Number 6. After this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl, and the beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. Now I couldn't find any country that's actually represented by a leopard, or is connected with a leopard. So I'm going with the thoughts of another man on this one, and I think that it made somewhat sense, especially considering they are the world dominant power right now. I'd have to say that one's the United States. You say, why? Well, the United States is an integrated country. A leopard has white on the belly, it's brown in the body, and it has black spots. The United States has 4 military branches: Army, Navy, Marines, and Air Force. Okay? They have more than one branch of government. You have presidency, House of Representatives, Senate, and Supreme Court judges. 4 heads for federal government. Okay? So there's a possibility it would be the leader of the United States in the tribulation. Now that one can change very quickly. Okay? Right now he's Trump. Do I really think it's Trump? No. I heard one guy say that Trump made a profession of faith. Well, if that's the case, it ain't Trump. He'll be out of here. Okay? I'll tell you, it's not Obama. I mean, I had my doubts 8 years ago. I thought maybe it could have been him. But he's going out. All right? So it's not him. But it'll be the leader of the United States if that beast is the United States. And there's no denying that the United States is a world dominant power. Now, whoever he is, he's going to get his wings plucked. Which tells you what? Tells you America's in for a fall. If that's America. Look at it. And this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. And let me see. Where did it say that the wings were plucked from it? Was that one or the first one?
That was the first one.
It was the first one where his wings was plucked. Okay. So I guess it isn't the American one. That would be the first one. But it really doesn't say a whole lot about it. You just kind of got to gather it because it's a world dominant power, and you're going to assume that the United States is going to be one of the 3. Now that's going to cover this area of the world, this area of the world, and this area of the world. You say, what about Africa? Nothing's ever powerful's ever come out of Africa except for Egypt. But you got that 4th beast. And that 4th beast, he looks like he's going to come out of a 10 federated kingdom. And when we get into that 4th beast, there are several different theories of what that could be. Okay? And one of the theories, which I think is, I never heard of this until a few days ago. Actually, Granddaddy told me about it. And I have to say, after getting on the internet and reading up on it, it's definitely something I would not disregard. Give these out to you 3. What you're looking at is a map of 10 sections. Does anybody besides Granddaddy know what those are? What that map is? It's the world divided into 10 sections. There was a group of...
Is a group.
Huh?
Still exists.
It still exists. There's a group called the Club of Rome.
Yeah.
And the Club of Rome is kind of an environmentalist group. And this environmentalist group wants to control the powers of the world to save man from mankind. Mm-hmm. And they divided the world into 10 sections. And if they ever get their way, they'll control them 10 sections. And it was started by 10 men, wasn't it?
Not sure about that.
That's what I was reading on the internet. It was actually started by 10 men. And they're started by 10 men. And if that thing ever happens, and they ever get what they want, you'll have a 10 federated kingdom that runs the world. Now, you say, what's interesting about that? Well, what's interesting about it is the 10 kings in Revelation are kings which have not been given a kingdom as of yet. Which means it's a political system that actually doesn't have a kingdom. Which, I don't know, but that's interesting. It's just interesting. That's why I say that thing has a very notable possibility of being the 10 federated kingdom. Alright? My thoughts have, now that I just came up with, heard about last couple of days, so I haven't studied it out to any detail, but if you want to take a look into that thing, just type in the Club of Rome. And they got all kinds of information on it. And then type in the map of the Club of Rome, and you'll get that map. And so there's a lot of information on that thing, and it could have something to do with that 10 federated kingdom that the Antichrist comes out of. I don't know. I don't know enough about it to really say. I've always thought that, and I do believe this, that little horn will show up over here, and I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. We're going to study this in detail. I've always figured he's going to show up around Assyria, which is going to be right in the northern part of Iraq or the edge of Iran. or in Syria itself. Right in there. I would say Iraq near the old Babylon. I'd say it's going to come out of that area politically. That's where that Antichrist, that little horn will arise. And when he arises out of the 10 horns, which would mean that it would be the section. Anybody got that map? Which one is Iraq in? What's the number on it? 7. It'd be on the 7th section in that map. He'd rise out if he was part of that thing. Now, if he's not part of that thing, and that thing really has nothing to do with the beast, that means he rises out of a Muslim nation. And that would mean that 10 federated kingdoms probably will be a federation of 10 Muslim kingdoms. And your dominant Muslim kingdoms go through the north part of Africa right up through here. That section. Well, guess what? Of the 3 we covered, that's one section we haven't covered yet. First beast over here. First beast here. Second beast here. Third beast here. Fourth beast there. Alright? So that's my theories on who the 4 beasts are, as far as the guesswork. Now, as far as the facts, there are 4 kings that are going to be present in the tribulation. The 4th one will be a kingdom that the Antichrist will come into domination in and run. And it will subdue the other 3. And it will be a world power. Alright? So, any questions? That kind of sums it up for tonight. And we'll take and get into that 4th beast next week. And the 10 federated kingdoms. And look at some things, what we know about the 10 kings. Alright. So are there any questions in that? No questions? Was it pretty clear as far as the way I was trying to show? Everybody kind of see where I'm coming from in those? Alright. Good. That's what I was hoping for. And, as long as some of it's clear, because that is, I'll have to say, that is not an easy chapter of the Bible. A lot of people get it's easier to spot somebody when they're wrong on the chapter than to actually know if they're actually right on it. But it's pretty easy to spot some of these guys that are wrong because they didn't follow the context and the basic guidelines in the chapter that you see right in the chapter. And that's what you want to do with when you handle some of these difficult passages. You want to see the things that you do know is true in the chapter. And then get the context of it and stay within that context.